So this is a quick little tutorial for Nervous by John Legend. I'm just going to run through some of the chords because this is a very accompaniment style piece. We're in the key of D major, so it means we're going to be using F sharp and C sharp. So our chords here, we have G. Essentially what you want to do with your left hand for an easy version is just have your left hand play the root notes. So it plays G with a G, A with an A, B with a B. If you've got larger hands and an octave isn't a big deal for you, you can play them as an octave. So an octave is when you play the same note, G and G, pinky and thumb. So you give it that little bit of extra bass. It's kind of bassy. Right hand's just going to be playing chords. I'll show you some inversions that make it a little bit easier to play, but there's really only a couple of chords you need and you'll be able to play the whole song. So it has some interesting timing. We get 3 beats. We get G, 1, 2, 3, 4. Then we play the A. 1, 2, 3, 4, and then B minor 7. Right now just worry about B, D and F sharp. That's a B minor. If you want to make it a 7, you can add an A at the top. So it's called a 7 because the A that we're adding is a 7th interval. So think of a 7 as like an octave minus 1. Sometimes they're black, sometimes they're white. Don't stress about that right now. I'm not going to go into too many crazy music theory details here. So there are our first little few chords there. We got G for 3 beats. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3. And then we get this D slash F sharp. So a D slash F sharp means that in the bass you want to play an F sharp over a D chord. So you've got a D major chord, which is D F sharp A, and the left hand in the bass will be playing an F sharp like that. So instead of playing the root, you play the F sharp just like that. Whether you play singles or octaves, completely up to you. There's our chord progression essentially. Back to G. 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. So you get a chord for 3, and then a chord for 1 beat, and a chord for 3. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. Now you can invert some of these chords. What I like to do, play the G as a root just to keep it simple. But for the B minor 7, what I like to do is actually leave the B out of it in the top, play D, F sharp, play A, D and F sharp. So the A is the 7th interval, and we don't really have to play the root again because the left hand is covering the root. Sort of like that. Now what's funny about doing that is playing a D and an F sharp and an A is actually technically a D major chord as well in an inversion. They're the same notes. In this context with the B, because the left hand's playing a B, you'd call it a B minor 7, but then the next chord is D over F sharp, so you can just keep that chord and play F sharp, because that is a D chord. Does that sound complicated? I hope not. If you know a bit about chords, you'll know what I'm on about, but for the B minor 7 chord, if you just play A, D, F sharp, you can just keep that. B minor 7, and then D over F sharp. B minor 7, D over F sharp. Makes it a really easy transition. So I'll show you that one more time. 1, 2, 3, 4, B minor 7, 1, 2, 3, D over F sharp, 1, 2, 3, to A, B minor 7, 2, 3, 4. They're onto the jumping. That's your G, jumping out an airplane. Let me have a little scrolly poly here. 2, 3, 4, B minor 7, 1, 2, 3, 4, G, 1, 2, 3, 4, B. And then he just says, yeah, I still get nervous without any chords. Now we get a bit more rhythmic here. I'll show you just the basic version first, and then we can add some octaves. So this is where I'd add a bit more rhythm. When you walk through the door, sort of like that. You want to play the right hand a few times on each beat. So you'll hit it. When you walk through the door and you look in my eyes, yeah, it feels like the very first time. 2, 3, 4. So you just play them on each beat. can get your left hand to add extra beats as well. 1 and a 2 and a 3 and a 4 and 1 and a 2 and a 3 and a 4 and 1. I can fall for you forever, I'm certain, 'cause I still get nervous. You can add bits. In his version, what he does is he like jumps up the octaves and adds some different octaves. You can jump up high. The chords aren't really going to change too much. He does a few sus chords and things like that. I'm not going to get into that on this one. Just an easy tutorial. But you can sort of jump around 1, 2, 3, 4, and jump right up on that G chord. The ones that have 3 beats, it's better to do that with, because you don't have time for the 1 beat. 1, I'm just jumping up an octave. 2, 3, then A chord. 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. So you can jump around, sort of like that. 1, 2, 3, 4. Then the B. 1, 2, 3, 4. Play around with it a little bit. So verse 2 is basically the same as verse 1. Rhythm-wise, just going to have different words. So I'm not going to worry about going over that because it is literally the exact same rhythm. It's only the words that are going to change. So what we want to do, we get this bridge section, same chord, slightly different order. A, G, B minor 7, A, back to B minor 7, G, and then we get the B minor 7, and then it goes back to a chorus. So pretty straightforward there. You can keep them in root position, A, B7 if you want to play it like this in this inversion, A, D, F sharp, that's fine, and then G. So there's lots of B minor 7s, sort of like that. G, and then B minor 7, just like that. There is an intro. Let me just bring up my sheet music that I've written. I'll show you the exact intro as well. So here's our intro. What we've got in the right hand are these like little tiny notes. See, they're called grace notes. So they don't actually have any beat of their own. You want to really roll them in, blend them in, blur them in. Like that. Then we're moving down. And then we're coming into our first chord. That goes into the verse. So our intro, we want to be on a D, and we're running up to F sharp. 1, skipping, just like that. 3, 5, 2, 1. Running up to 3, 5, 2, 3, 5, 2, 3, over to C sharp, A, B. Now the left hand's just following the chord progression, so it's just got a D octave with an, a G octave with a D in it. Moving up to the A octave, and then a B octave in the left hand. And then at the end here, we're doing an F sharp octave with a C sharp in it. Like that. Just like that. So I'll give it a little run through. I'll try and scroll at the same time as I'm playing. Hopefully it'll work out. So we've got our intro, and then if you want to make the first chord a G7, makes it nice and jazzy. He plays it a bit more like a G7. So if you want to get fancy, add an F sharp to the G chords in the beginning. Otherwise, don't worry about it, it's fine. So we've got our intro that we would have played. However it goes, I've already forgotten. G chord, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4 to the G, 1, 2, 3, 4, B minor 7, 2, 3, and the G, jumping out an airplane to swimming with the sharks, existential feeling when you're staring at the stars, and the G, 2, 3 to the A, 1, 2, 3, 4, and then we get G. When you walk through the door and you look in my eyes, yeah, it feels like the very first time. I can fall for you forever, I'm certain, 'cause I still get nervous when your lips hit my lips and the fireworks nervous. Then you just go into your next verse, then the chorus, then the bridge, and then back to the chorus and the outro. So you can sort of play around with the chorus. You can change the timing up a little bit if you want to get jazzy with it, how you might want to do different inflections with your vocals, and add a bit of swing to it. So he kind of has like a 1 and a 2 and a 3 and a 4 and can work as well. Adding in some beats. That's if you kind of want to get a bit more jazzy than his version. When your lips hit my lips and the fireworks fly, sending sparks through the air like the 4th of July. I can fall for you forever, I'm certain. As I still get nervous. That's a nice little song. I have some sheet music that's a little bit closer to what he does with the little piano riffs and things in there, which I'll put a link in the description. But otherwise, if you just want to play the chords and have a sing along, this will be perfect.